Hello. I am taking a lunch break and got on my workout clothes. I'm going to go on a run with Jacker, who's napping right here by me. I've had a great morning, great work day so far, and I hope that I'm able to catch you during midday on your lunch break or whenever you get a chance to see this. Hi, how are you? It has been a little bit since I've been posting more often with videos, a little bit more impromptu. This one, I really wanted to be thoughtful with my words and really be prayerful before I just jumped on and spoke. What I'm referring to in this session, I see in my personal life. I see it professionally when I'm working with individuals one on one. And this topic, the power of the pause, the power of the pause. I'll get to this in a minute. But I've seen this for a long time. And I figured that this topic, because it brought up a lot of great discussions and opinions and just perspectives, I thought it would be a really good opportunity when I had the moment, and I do right now, to be live with you. But again, if you're not live and you're commenting, I really try to come back around later to see what you posted. So if you have comments or questions, of course, you can email me, you can instant message me, but right here in the comments is the best place for me to come back around and see what's on your mind. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Sherry. Oh, good to see you. I'm so glad I got to catch you as well. Hi, Gib. How are you? Oh, good to see everybody. Okay, so a couple days ago, I shared this post and it said, if I don't feel safe, I'm unapologetically pausing the relationship to heal. You're welcome. You are welcome. And so that was a download that I received maybe months ago. And when I say a download, what I feel like is it was a divine download. Either way, it was something that I felt was good, was right, was pure, was true. And I just held it close to my heart. Again, the quote being, if I don't feel safe, I'm unapologetically pausing the relationship to heal. You're welcome. So I got that download and I kept it safe and quiet with me in my quiet time right there almost every single morning. And if it's smack dab as close to the fireplace as possible because it's so cold in the Detroit area. But anyway, so I just really meditated on this for a long time. And then just recently I posted, hi, Cindy, hi, Lori. I posted that quote and I just said, what are your thoughts? In the conversation, I should say, your comments were so great. And here's what I noticed. Again, I noticed this personally. I noticed this professionally when I'm coaching small groups or I'm coaching one-on-one. This concept of pausing is quite controversial, maybe. At least it's incredibly difficult to wrap our brain around having the audacity to pause, having the just braving. Well, the way I look at it is we're braving our abundance when we pause a relationship, when we're feeling any type of negative emotion. I just chose to use and focus on the word, if I don't feel safe. But there's a lot of feelings and emotions that come up in relationships. We're complex human beings, y'all. I'm complex, you're complex, the world around me is complex. So to think that we don't need a moment to pause is ridiculous. Yet we're so intimidated to pause. Hi, Kim. We're so intimidated. I really want you to reflect on the parts of this quote that I realized when I shared this and I asked what my friends and family here on Facebook, what they thought of this quote. If I don't feel safe, I'm unapologetically pausing the relationship to heal. You're welcome. And here's where this is the feedback I felt like I received. either people focused on the feelings part, like how feelings could be misguided. And if we only focus on our feelings, then it can lead us astray. And feelings are finicky, and it's so true. Some say it's time to honor our feelings, and our feelings are good and right, and there's nothing wrong with them. So there was some perspective on just the concept of feelings. And then there was just on, I don't know how many people, but this was important to me, this concept of being unapologetic. And I don't know too many people who really focused on that, but I'm going to focus on that. And the other part is pausing, that really drew out people's thoughts and opinions on pausing. Some people said closing the door. Some people said slamming the door shut. So when we see the word pause, and I'm asking you right now, if maybe this is the first you've heard me talk about it, maybe you didn't interact with me earlier, and that pause, what comes up for you in honoring your feelings, or the feelings that come up in a relationship, moreover the negative emotions? What comes up when you think of me using the phrase unapologetically pausing the relationship? What comes up with pausing? What's just your natural inclination when you hear me say, we're going to pause this relationship, or I'm pausing this relationship? And then the other was the healing. And some people really focused on that as a key word that came up for them, that brought up some of their own thoughts and feelings and emotions with the word healing. But not as many people, I think, talked about healing as they did the feelings. And then just the concept of you're welcome. I don't think anyone necessarily focused on you're welcome, but there's something really powerful in all of this together that I want to take, hopefully, a pretty succinct and timely moment just to talk to you about why I think this is so powerful. And again, through a lot of my coaching, when I'm working with individuals, this is incredibly difficult. This concept of pausing, this symbol is can be really fear-based. And I'm going to take a slight moment to say, this is a symbol. I don't have a word for the year. I have a symbol for the year. And this was the symbol. And when I shared this with my community, someone said, because I didn't say what the symbol was. You guys interacted with me, and a couple people had said, "Oh, that reminds me of the pause button," and that was awesome. And I'll maybe another time explain what this symbol means. And actually, I probably will be explaining it throughout this hopefully short little teaching segment about the power of this symbol for me through 2023. So let me just start from the beginning with feelings, and I want to see what you have to say. If you have a question, if you have a connection, if you have a point of clarity, I'd love to hear from you. If not now, later, whenever you get a chance to watch this, if it's not at a midday break. So this concept of feelings is really incredibly important to pay attention to this, because as I was writing up some notes, and I'll probably post these later, maybe on my blog or something, because it's lengthy. I've been doing a lot of writing lately. But in my experience, personally and professionally, I have found that it is true. Our feelings tend to rule our lives, and they do lead us astray. But it also shows, I want to pause here for a moment, pause the part of our day, just pausing, listening to this, and leaning in close to say, you know what? Your feelings are important. Your feelings are validated. Your feelings are your feelings. Nobody can tell you what to feel, how long to feel. It's really a personal journey. But if we're not pausing, if we're not acknowledging the feels, then we are being led astray one way or another. Either you're being told you're too emotional, or you're not emotional enough. What I'm pausing in this moment is to say, what if we allowed what if we increased our self-awareness and the power and the impact that our feelings could have on us, so that we don't misunderstand our feelings and we're misguided by them. So the tail is no longer wagging the dog, so to speak. We can increase our self-awareness and our intentionality and be aware and alert to the feelings, to the emotions that pop up in that moment. We can't control it. And if it's a negative emotion, if we pause for a moment to acknowledge and hold on. Now listen to all the key words, because it's going to cycle through each of these 4 or 5 important aspects of this very simple, straightforward quote. But if we pause just long enough, hold on, name the emotion. Name, like, do this with me right now. Today, I'm sure you were triggered. I'm sure there was an experience, and I'm really talking about relationships for a moment. But I'm sure that there was something today or in the near future or near past that had a circumstance or what someone had said triggered you, and you felt a negative emotion. And if we can just name the negative emotion, if you could just name the negative emotion and hold on to it just long enough to be able, as Christians, to be able to say, God, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do? But if we don't pause, if we don't name the emotion, if we don't name the sensation that we're feeling, the wooziness in our belly, all of a sudden the flush in our brain and our head and our mind, the closing of our throat, the pounding of our heartbeat, our body is telling us something. So if we can just take a moment and start valuing our emotions and not ignore them, then we can stay in this fine balance where we're not overly emotional and we're not completely ignoring our emotions. It's very powerful, because the goal is to be humble people of peace. That's what this visualization is for me. I am locking my eyes on the one. This for me as a Christian is Jesus. And most importantly, all throughout the day, but most importantly, when I am triggered, I want my eyes locked on Jesus. I want to pause in that moment, and I want to receive his guidance, and I want to walk along with him. Do you see how powerful and multidimensional? Jagger likes it too. He's getting extra comfy in this conversation. And so in this relationship with the Lord, this is our number one relationship. And he wants us in relationship with other people. That's the heavenly realm. It's connectedness. It's unity. It's appreciating diversity in the relationships and unity in the differences and coming together. We are supposed to be in relationship. We're supposed to be connected. But because we're complex, we are going to experience it's going to be very normal to be in relationship with somebody, even with the Trinity, and experience a negative emotion. So if we just learn to name it, not dismiss it, and not overly engage with it, name it, hold on to it, and most importantly, rush to God through any negative emotion, then we are holding it long enough to get to the source. This is where people, first of all, we don't name it, and then we don't hold it long enough. And then most definitely, if we've made it long enough to name it, name the negative emotion. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling afraid. If we don't get to the point, or I'm feeling unsafe, name it. Most of us don't stop and name it. And then hold on to it long enough to wonder, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Why did I get triggered? Now, there's all these outside circumstances, but as humble Christians, as humble people of peace, This to me is a sign of peace. This is humble. This is, God, what do you want me to know? This is a person of peace who zips the lip, pulls it in, names it, embraces it long enough, holds it long enough to talk to our King, to talk to our God who made me, who knows every fiber of my being and knows all my circumstances. That I can pause in relationship with Christ and say, oh, I'm feeling this feel. It don't feel good. Tell me about it. And we fall short right at that point, so that as I continue on in this, moving on to unapologetically, and then the pause, even more of the pause, continuing to move on is what allows us to get to the source, not just name it and throw it all over the place. You see the difference? Naming the emotion and thrusting it upon the people around you, thrusting it upon and blaming the circumstances and naming the people. Listen, it might be a sense of trueness there, but in the pause with Jesus, in going to the one who knows and zipping the lip, pulling it on in, okay? So I'm going to stop there because I'm going to get into that more in a moment with back to this concept of pause. So if you're just joining me now, we're talking about if I feel a negative emotion in this relationship. For me, I just said if I feel unsafe, I'm unapologetically pausing our relationship to heal. You're welcome. So now I'm going to move on to the unapologetically. Now, I have my own life coach because I dare not try to pretend that I'm going to keep giving out if I'm not receiving. I receive in that seat every single morning. I get filled up through the truth of the heavenly realm. It's amazing. The breakthrough that me and the Lord had back there was stunning this morning. I am physically getting healed. You guys, it's ridiculous, but I can't talk about that right now or I'll go on a tangent and hold you here forever. But the one of the things that I also do is I go to mentors and I have a coach myself. And so when I feel that I am hitting a wall and I can't do just Jesus and myself, Jesus is like, be in relationship with another trusted individual. So my coach, who had a overtime relationship with me, had said, Tara, how about you say those things without saying an apology? We're in context of some other things we were talking about. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, do you realize that you apologize a lot? And so I just trust her, right? I learned to like zip and just trust. If this person, I've let this person in, I'm trusting what this person is saying. And I said, okay, I think I see, yep, there's some examples that are coming to mind. Now she'd say, trust me, or not trust me. She'd say, actually, her point was trust yourself, everything I've already said, and now say something directly and with truth. Just be direct and honest without the apology. Because the apology is taking responsibility or feeling that she's like, did you do something wrong in those examples? And I said, no, I just was trying to be considerate and honor the other person. So that's not being considerate. That's actually that's false humility. That's focusing on yourself, not on the other person. When you apologize incessantly and you're trying to pad your very healthy, direct statement and you're padding it with an apology, it actually taints the relationship. So let all that go and just speak directly, be straightforward, and be honest. Just say it without trying to pad it as if you did something wrong. Because again, it draws attention, sometimes apologies, moreover, draw attention to me and to the person and not to the person you're really trying to honor or focus on. So that was a huge eye opener for me. I'm like, I didn't realize that. Thank you. I'm going to work on it. And from that point on, I realized how much I padded things all over the place with an unnecessary apology. Now let's see if this is on your mind as you move forward from here. Like, oh, I'm sorry I'm late, or sorry I was late to respond, or I'm trying to think examples when we are texting or in our everyday speech that we throw in apologies that are super unnecessary. Anyway, here's the point of also the apology is, yeah, I see my words down here. I do want to say this. It is an apology can be disempowering, and it also can be not as truthful, because if you didn't do anything wrong and you're showing, apologies are special. Apologies should be a rare time to use it when you've done something wrong or you feel remorse. And so it's disempowering and it's confusing in a relationship. All right, now moving on. So I think the reason I added the apology is because I find myself overly talking about why I might need to pause, or trying to validate my emotion, trying to validate how I'm feeling about something. And all that is disempowering, and it's really not truthful. Why do I need to feel sorry that I feel unsafe? Why do I need to feel sorry that I had a negative and I didn't say anything or do anything? I have not moved into action. I have not responded to the person. I have not harmed anybody. All I internally, because of an external scenario, internally, what came up is I feel unsafe. Why do we apologize for that? Or I feel ignored. I feel nervous. I feel angry. I feel sad. Any feeling or emotion, I feel overwhelmed. Why would we apologize for the feelings that our body is just simply trying to indicate something that is rooted in something else? There's no need to feel the guilt or the shame for emotions and feelings. Now, I'm not talking about what we do with them, because sometimes, listen, y'all, guilt and shame keep the wheels on the bus. And so we do, which is why I'm getting into the pause in a moment. So, yeah, not apologizing. Now, moving in. Pausing is an intentionally, it's just filled with love and intentionality. I am not talking about having a temper tantrum and slamming a door. But isn't this interesting? When each of us take a moment to think about what pausing or even closing a door has hinges, y'all. A door opens and it closes. But when we truly pause and think what comes to mind, then we're probably thinking of past relationships or current relationships where people did X, Y, or Z to us. And then it makes us think about what this closing of the door or what this pausing can be like. What I'm speaking of is the most loving as possible. Now, we can only control ourselves. How someone receives us is completely up to that person. They have freedom to experience their own thoughts and feelings and emotions. That is up to them. We're not in the game of trying to control other. And I've learned to get out of that game. I danced, I hung out in that. And we inadvertently enter into that. But I realize that I have only control of myself. I don't have control over the negative emotions that pop up, but I do have a responsibility. I have an ability to respond to what does come up, and then to be so loving to the world around me, one person or many around me, to be so loving that I close my mouth, that I pull back in. And if I have to physically get into the secret place, get into the quiet place in the morning, or get back in there in the afternoon and get back in there in the evening, or internally, this could be in the middle of the work relationship. It could be standing in the kitchen with one of my teenage boys. It could be at the end of the night with my husband. It could be in the car with so-and-so. At any point in time, the most loving thing that we can do is pause with great love and intention, which is why I end this with "you're welcome," because the heart posture of humility and being a person of peace is not letting the negative emotion come out too early, but to pause and to speak with a God within me. That's why unapologetically and being empowered, this is me connected to the God within me because I love my Jesus and he is in me. And the pause is an internal pause, most importantly. And to stepping inside myself and allowing the Lord to tell me what he needs to tell me about why I got triggered to begin with. And y'all, the pause is the place where you learn, probably from childhood. Like the thought is from 0 to 6, and sometimes we stretch it to like say 0 to 12. But in our childhood years, there are things, and you know what? It cracks me up because people will say, because I'll talk to individuals professionally and personally, and oh, that's psychobabble. Oh, that's going in the past. You just love going in the past. You love dredging up stuff from the past. No, I don't. But what I love to do, because I'm not into time traveling, I'm not into fortune telling, and I'm not into anything that I'm just not meant to be there. I'm not meant to sit in the past, even if it's a minute ago, and I'm not meant to fear the future, even if it's a minute from now, period. But in the pause, in a healthy relationship with God, with the Trinity, we get to step inside to where the root, the original source, the very first time I remember feeling this way. When is the first time I remember feeling unsafe in this type of a dynamic? When is the first time I remember feeling this much anger? When is because of this dynamic? When is the first time in my life I remember feeling such an injustice or so much like this feeling of sadness, this feeling of neglect, this feeling of being ignored, this feeling, whatever. Hold the feeling. If you dare, you're going to brave your abundance. You hold that negative emotion, not long enough to feel it and to throw it at somebody. No. And not long enough to feel it into shame and guilt and blame yourself from feeling the feels. No. Hold it long enough to say, God, what do you want me to know? When is the first time I felt like this type of a feeling? Because of it, like this kind of situation is such a gift. It hurts. It hurts a lot. But it's informing me of something where there was a source the first time I felt this way. And I started to believe lies. I started to believe limiting beliefs. I most importantly started to believe a lie about myself. I identified with myself. I'm so stupid. I'm not enough. I'm unseen. I'm unloved. You see the identity statement. I am unworthy. Y'all, come on. This is the most fascinating work we can do. And the more you do it, the faster it happens. It's amazing. And sometimes the pause is not just a short little like this. Sometimes the pause is this long and it makes everyone uncomfortable because I haven't done this work before. This work is, I didn't even know that it was triggered to my like 8-year-old self. Man, I used to think this was psychobabble, but I'm feeling kind of set free. I'm feeling like I just cut off a tie that has been holding me down. I feel like I just released myself from some pit that I've been hanging out in my whole life. And I didn't know it was because of being a 5th grader in that class. I didn't know it was because of the voice of my father. I didn't know it was because of this from my mom or siblings or life. Because guess what? We are complex and we cause hurts. I do, you do. And so why don't we want to take the pause and find out the source? And I'm not talking about an emotion that's kind of just very much appropriate for the situation. And I feel the feels and I'm able to talk to you about it. And then you're able to receive it. And then we move on. Like, dude, that's the best. If I can feel a feel and I can go inside to the secret place and this have a little quiet jam session and talk and go, oh yeah, I'm believing this lie, or oh, it must be that, I'm going to talk to her in a minute. But right now I just want to make sure I'm using okay. Yep. Cause I don't want to come from a place of anger. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, she didn't mean it. Or yeah, my husband didn't. Yeah, totally. All right. We're all just tired. Okay. So I'm glad we had the little jam session. Jesus, thank you so much. Now I'm going to move on with my day. And the other person doesn't even know what happened. The other person just receives, me or you get to be received with like, yeah, that person is so peaceful. That person's like, no matter what, and even if that person shows up with such humility and such peace, that is beautiful when we can do that. But y'all, that little momentary pause that took 37 seconds and that person didn't even know you paused, beautiful. But come on. Sometimes we need 37 minutes. Sometimes we need 37 days. And no, we never wanted to take as long as 37 years. But let me just tell you, I would rather take 37 years to heal from something that is buried in me than for 37 years to show up in the life, show up with people around me, and I'm bitter and I'm angry and I'm feisty and I am highly emotional. I am always venting and always splurting on people. I am offendable and I am fill in the blank. I'm not a person of peace. I've been spending the last 37 years pissed off. And I'm unhappy and I'm frustrated. Things don't go my way. And if you're in my way, I'm going to take you down. Or I'm so aggravated internally that I'm sad and I retreat for 37 years. And I'm not angry at anyone. I don't throw my stuff around at people. No, I throw it at myself. For 37 years, I just sit in my quiet and I shut people out. And I just blame myself and shame myself and I sit in the pain. So what a gift it is for me and for others when we take the time, and our brain wants us to believe it's going to take too long. Our brain is going to wants us to believe that it's psychobabble. Our brain wants us to believe that, dude, you're just going in the past. Let go of the past. Really? You're not letting go of the past because you're carrying around your past everywhere you show up, and people are getting hurt by you showing up with all your pain and all your hurt. You don't have this beautiful sense of peace and presence that is really the true you. It's being eclipsed by all this garbage and junk, and it smells and it's not fun to be around. Our brain wants us to believe that that work is dumb, that it's a waste of time, that it's stupid, that who do you think you are? You're ghosting that person. You just left and didn't explain to anybody. You're so prideful. You this, or get over yourself, or it's going to take too long, or you know what? I'm already this long in the relationship. I've lived this way my whole life, 37 years, whatever if you were with me, it started with 37 seconds to pause. But what if it took 37 years? It's like we get a choice to make. How long? What I was saying was, I want to recalibrate. What I was saying is your brain is going to try to keep you safe and keep you doing the same thing every day. And don't you dare change its course. Don't pause. What wording did I use? Don't temporarily interrupt the moment. If you show up saying you need a break, if you show up pausing, if you show up saying, let's go to counseling, if you show up saying, listen, I don't want to go to dinner tonight. Listen, group of friends that I've been friends with since high school, I don't want to party anymore. It's been 37 years. It's been 27 years. It's been 3 years of the same thing. We've been in relationship. We've been doing the same thing. And I've been feeling these negative emotions and I've been afraid to say anything because my brain, my primitive brain, is simply just trying to keep me alive. And if we show up in the same patterns, our brain is saying, good job, you're alive. Now do the same mundane, either because I'm pissed off or because, and excuse my language, but I'm not. No, see, that's an apology. It's true because we show up this way or we don't show up at all. We don't show up at all. Or we show up just with all the stuff, or we concede and we hide our needs and our emotions because we're afraid to upset the apple cart. We're afraid to do things a different way. We're afraid that we won't be loved, that we will be unsafe, that we won't belong to this group anymore if I dare say anything that's different than the patterns of the group for the last 10 years. What about the pattern of my family system? What about the pattern of this best friendship? What about the pattern of our marriage? Like, you know what, babe? No, I'm not going to the family functions. I'm not going to dinner. I'm not going to keep doing these things. You and I both are experiencing these negative emotions nonstop. Who's going to have the brave abundance to pause and to pause from a place of humility, to have the gumption to say, hey, do you want peace? Because I know I want peace. Are we feeling peaceful? The goal is peace. No matter what is going on around us, and even if the goal is to pause, to breathe. God, I'm feeling this negative emotion. My nose is itching. I'm feeling this itch. Do I dare pause and from what I'm saying and itch it? I mean, but really, it's that unapologetically saying, excuse me for a moment while I take care of my needs. Like, I hear my clients so often, they're so afraid to pause the regularly scheduled events, from brushing our teeth in the morning to brushing our teeth at night. Ooh, I don't know, because if I pause, that person might leave me. If I pause, that person will think I'm weird and won't understand me anymore. If I pause, they might think this, that, and the other thing, which I just did a past post about. We're so afraid because of Proverbs. And I'm owning this. I'm more afraid sometimes of people than I am of my God. We're so afraid, and our brain corroborates and says, be afraid, be very afraid. Do not dare pivot. Don't. Calm. Not even calm. Your brain doesn't care if you're calm or not. Your brain is like, dude, flail around, be angry, survival. Whatever you've done all these other days, do it today. Because if you don't do today the way you've done every other day, you might die. That's just survival. What I'm imploring people to do is to be brave and unapologetic, to stop for a second and notice the emotion. Own your emotions. I'm owning mine. I'm learning not to apologize for it. Man, I'm learning not to apologize for them. Own them. Don't let them identify you and whip you around. But in this moment, what a gift that my body is feeling all these feels, trying to tell me Dude, if you keep going like this, your body will say it. If you don't acknowledge the negative emotions, your body will. And I think that's where a lot of my healing is coming from. It's multi-layered, multifaceted. I fully humble myself to God to say, where am I carrying all these negative emotions that it's causing a brain disease? What if? And I'm a pretty chill person, but there have been times, there have been situations that I was afraid to pause. I was afraid to be direct and straightforward. I'm honoring other people more than myself, or I'm honoring myself more than, it goes back and forth. And I just stuffed my emotions, or I was told not to feel a certain way, feeling so disoriented, like what's right, what's down, what's left, what's right, what's up, what's down. But in the pause, oh, you guys, in my pause, my whole world, I just have been receiving so much love so that I can heal. Now, listen to this about pausing. So I did my Google search. I loved it. I felt the Spirit of the Lord say, yes, Google this, check it out. And I noticed, and I'm not musically inclined. This is super, super cool. I'm not musically inclined, but I kept reading the definitions to pause. Like, who's going to look up the word pause? I get the word pause, but what it does for me is it expands my understanding. Because when we think of words, or we think of just what Tara has been experiencing, I can only kind of see it from my vantage point. So I like looking up words and getting down to the origin of words, because it helps broaden my my understanding and maybe what God is trying to say to me, and to understand the world better, more broadly. And so musically, you guys, this is so good. I noticed musically that there's a mark over notes. It defined, okay, I'm sorry. Let me do that again. Musically speaking, this pause can be defined as a mark over a note. This is the mark. And it means rest. And it's to be lengthened by an unspecified amount of time. And I think it's called fermata, Fermata, which means to hold. Come on. Fermata is also nicknamed bird's eye. Now, as Christians, ooh, this is like hitting nail right on the head. No wonder God said, yes, go look it up, because I'm going to expand. I'm going to blow your mind. Fermata is also named bird's eye. This is a symbol used by the conductor who holds the notes as one before, who holds the note or the multiple notes as one unit before beginning again. Okay. So then I imagined a musician or the musicians humbly surrendering to the conductor, capital C conductor, exhibiting great self-control, not moving through the rest of the sheet music as expected, trusting the conductor's perspective and authority. Trusting the perspective. Listen, God is expanding because I'm pausing, because I'm studying this, because I'm talking to God, the one who knows, the one who has the bird's eye view, who's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. Tara, sweet. Cindy, sweet. Marcia, sweet. Pilar, hi Pilar. Sweet. Who else is on here with me? I can't scroll up. Listen, you guys are so sweet and you're powerful, but in your own understanding, with your own perspective, you only are seeing it from a limited perspective. If you hold this with me, give me the negative emotion through humbly naming it, holding it long enough to giving it to God, who made me. I'm not an accident. Who made me, who understands me. And my husband's my BFF. He knows me, but he still doesn't know me and have the view. He can't hold space for me. Listen, y'all, I'm going to unapologetically say I am a darn good life coach. And because I hold space for people to bring their negative emotions, and I usher them into a past memory, not every single session, but within the time with me. Where did you first feel this? When you started to believe maybe a lie about yourself, which is ultimately what it is. It identified you, it encaptured you, it imprisoned you, it limited you, it put like a blanket on you, it just stuffed you and suppressed you and depressed you. Where did that happen? I mean, I do this I love the outcome of the coaching sessions when people get to be released from the burden of the negative emotions that rule their lives. Now, that's not the only reason. I work with people for 100 different other countless reasons, but I'm just saying, just like my husband holds space for me, who's so loving and gentle and pure, I do that for my clients. But guys, listen, nothing matches the one-on-one time with God. The pausing, the fixing our eyes on Christ, throwing our giving, surrendering, all of it. If we're gonna fling anything anywhere, Jesus is like, come on, man, I have the greatest pitcher's mitt. I can handle everything you've got. Throw it at me, thrust it upon me. Give it to me. Stop giving it to the world. Pull it in, give it to me. In his view, as the great conductor, he's like, oh, Cindy, I'm so glad you asked me. I'm so glad you're pausing, and you're holding this negative emotion just long enough for me to tell you a little story, a little something about where this began, and you didn't even know it. And I promise you, if you stay in the tension, as my client just said, standing in the tension, she said something about the handling the temper tantrum of the ego. She's like, it's just the temper tantrum of my ego, and I need to allow my ego to have a temper tantrum. And we say, stop with your emotions, Tara. Stop. You've been feeling this way for so long. You've been, or, oh, this can be easily dismissed, whatever. And by the way, if you want to hear this coaching session that was so powerful with my client, Kate, she gave me permission to have you eavesdrop on her coaching session as we're working through her spiritual development. And it's on the new podcast, Abundantly Me, that's on Apple and Anchor and Spotify. It's just one word, Abundantly Me. And last week was the first 45 minutes of our session, because my sessions are about an hour and a half long. And then this week, they come out on Wednesday at 5 a.m., bright and early. And but you can eavesdrop on Kate's coaching session as we're talking about the temper tantrum of the ego and holding space for God while we're flailing around and we're all mad and we're frustrated and listen, there are so many real injustices in this world. You have the right to feel what you're feeling. But listen, you are just imprisoning yourself and you don't even know it. But the people around you, they know it. They know it, they feel it. And by the way, you feel it. So to the point, we get to be with the conductor and let the conductor, as we pause and pause with that bird's eye view and let Jesus just hold that space for us. He gets to orchestrate our healing. Have you held space just long enough for your negative, the most prevailing negative emotion? Have you yet held space long enough with such compassion and care and not a worry on time? You guys, if it takes 37 years, let it take 37 years, because the next 37 years of your life are going to be ridiculously joy-filled, freeing, and people are going to just be overtaken by your peace and light that just naturally shine. You want world peace? We start here. We start within. You want your community to be a better place? Start within your own heart. Letting the great conductor orchestrate our healing. I'm reading my notes real quick. Now, I've already mentioned it. It's true. Your brain is like, nah, and maybe a lot of questions come up. Maybe for those of you who I love you and you're not yet a Christ follower, it's just not your religion. It's just not your cup of tea. You don't want to be brainwashed with that stuff. Like, okay, I want you to just stay put with me though. Because a lot of emotions, and by the way, let me be real clear. And those of us who already call ourselves Christians, and yet we just know that we say we follow Jesus, but what flows from us is anything Christ-like. We're not as humble as we'd like to be. It's always a journey. We're always on journey, and surrendered and just people of peace. You know when you're around a person of peace. That person is becoming more and more Christ-like. It feels so good just to be around that person. And so questions will arise. That's okay. Let them. But don't let them stop you. Bring the question into the pause. Bring the curiosities. Bring the fear of what it's like to pause from a relationship and not continue to do the same thing day after day with the same person that you're receiving such negative emotion from, or that you are negative emotions coming to the surface by being in relationship with this person. And yes, it would be amazing to have that dialogue with that person, but I can't control. You can't control the other dynamic. You can't control the world. You can't control the politics. You can't control communities. You can't control school systems. You can't control government. You can't control, society. You get it. And I can't control the one other person. All I can do is control me. And all I can do is try to get the battle out of my heart. James 4:1, get the battle out of my own heart, so that no matter what, and even if is going on, no matter if that other person wants to engage in the sense of freedom, how I want to say that better. No matter if that other person wants to engage in this or not, I am. I don't need you to agree with me that we need a pause. I'm going to pause because I need to stop the noise of the world. Because if there's any noise of the world that's distracting me from the one, listen, unapologetically, man, the Lord is my God. Well, that's not what I meant to say. The Lord is my God. But my God is whom I love the most and who I fear the most. And when my eyes are off the Lord and onto the problem or onto you or onto my negative emotion, and that's all, and my eyes aren't just locked into the Lord's, man, then I need to shut down everything to get back in alignment with God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and love others as you love yourself. It's a triangle. Love the Lord your God, love others, love yourself. If any one of those sides is cut, it's no longer a complete divine triune experience with perfect love. And why do I say to close this up and to close this quote up? And I'll repeat the quote. If I don't feel safe, I'm unapologetically pausing this relationship to heal. You're welcome. You're welcome. If I don't feel worthy, if I don't feel like I belong, if I don't feel loved, if I don't feel blank, if I feel this negative emotion, if there's a prevailing negative emotion while I'm in relationship with you or you group of people, I'm unapologetically pausing. It ain't you, it's me, man. It's not you. It really is me. And I need to heal because I'm responsible. I'm able to respond to my negative emotions. And that might take me longer than people are comfortable with. But I love the Lord my God, and I know I'm not alone. I know I'm safe, and I know I'm loved while I'm pausing. So if it takes 37 seconds and the person doesn't even know, good. That's the best. If it takes 37 hours and the person and I and the group and I are like having it out, or it takes 37 days and we're going through counseling and we're going through different conversations or whatevs. I need to pause because I want a life of abundance. Yeah, I want a life of abundance. And I am a Christ follower. I love Jesus, and he came to give me life in abundance. And if something is trying to kill, steal, or destroy that abundance, and that something is outside of me, yet triggering inside, then I got to squeeze the hell out of that. I got to get the hell. I got to get the evil. I got to get the lies, the distortions, the misinterpretations of who I think I am, and I got to get it out. And I'm going to stay in this space until it's out. And maybe that there's like this overlap of time. Maybe I can start going back into a certain relationship. But you know what? My Lord is going to steer me in the greatest conductor is going to orchestrate it quite beautifully. And I don't have to worry about anyone else, just me. You're welcome. You're welcome, because if I keep showing up in this relationship, I'm going to say things that are hurtful. If I keep showing up in this relationship, I'm not going to be the best version of myself. I'm not going to be as Christ-like. I need to retreat. I need to pull back a minute, or days, months. Man, I'll even take years. Because I know that when I do that with my God, I just know it's in scripture. He's going to give me a double portion. He's going to make up for that time. And if the people around me need to let go of the friendship or need to let go of whatevs, and I'm not talking about marriage, but if people around me aren't comfortable with that, they're not my people. Because if anybody is following Christ also and believes he's the one who holds that space and has a bird's eye view, because the two of us don't, that group and that group, they don't. But if I have my eyes locked on the Lord, I won't be put to shame. And I'm not talking about not communicating this with people. But if I've tried to communicate it, if I've tried to state my needs, if I've tried to, and it's not received, that's okay. That sucks, but that hurts. But I'm okay. I may not feel safe, but I know where I am safe. And I'm going to rush to that place. And I'm going to heal. And I hope that the people around me can hold that space. Because I know that that's a good thing for them, rather than pretending or masking or ignoring, scooping under the rug, a lot of honoring, a lot of sweet nothings, a lot of numbing out, and a lot of like just fluff and flattery just to keep, man, I don't want to upset the apple cart. It is such a gift to the other person. It's treating the other person with such regard and honor. And it's okay. It's okay to pause. So, y'all, there it is. Now I have a lot of scripture, so I'm going to post in, I'm going to post in Pilar. I was just about to post because I've got scriptures, James 4:1, Deuteronomy 6:4-7, Proverbs 15:4, James 1:19-20, First Peter. I actually want 6-11. I already posted. So I posted a lot of the verses that I cling to with this. And I was just about to post more verses. And I saw Pilar say, Jesus flipped tables. Absolutely. I'm not sure if I'm picking up on the reason you wrote that. And maybe it's because you were saying, hey, Jesus was angry too, and he showed it in public. If it isn't that, tell me. But I love when I listen to my mentors, Jamie and Donna Winship. I love listening to a teaching of Jamie when he said that when Jesus was flipping tables, he was getting anything out of the way that it was obstructing people to get to God. The purpose of flipping the tables was to get out all marketplace obstructions, all limitations, all limiting beliefs, all lies that was stopping anyone and everyone from getting to God. And that is a really great place to close, because that's why, I say you're welcome. Because if I am in relationship with you and I'm a marketplace table and I'm obstructing the person who's in my life, if I'm showing up a bunch sideways and I'm showing up in all the negative emotion, or even if I'm showing up half truth to who I am and I'm hiding my emotions and my feelings because I don't want to upset the apple cart. I'm not only talking about negative emotions flying out my mouth. I'm talking about negative emotions that I'm burying and I dare not let anybody around me know. I am showing up false in that relationship, and Jesus flipped me. Jesus is like, get out of the way. Time out, Tara. Go pause. I was a table Jesus flipped. And he flipped other people out of my life for a time such as this. Because he's angry at me? No. Because he's angry at the other people? No. It's because he loves us so much that he dare not let us be in the way of people receiving God. So y'all go to your corners. Go take a break. I got something to tell you. I have something from your past to show you so that you can heal, so that any other time this thing happens to you, it will no longer trigger you. Can you imagine that you show up in the world, Pagan and Valerie, Pilar, Cindy, Marsha, whoever other beautiful soul is on here, and Marlene, that you, great, now I'm going to forget. Can you imagine that? Ooh, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, darn. Can you imagine? What was I going to say, God? Can you imagine? Oh, can you imagine the thing that has been tripping you up, that has been triggering a negative emotion, and you are justifiably so? Like, everyone would agree with you why you would be mad. Everyone would agree with you why you feel the way you feel. Everyone would agree with you why you're sad. Can you imagine if you got to a pause point long enough to heal the root cause of that, so that when you showed up ongoing, like the next reminder in the world triggered you. It was a great example of, man, that's the thing. There it is. That's why I'm sad. And you don't feel sad. Instead, you feel this awkward sense of peace. That is afforded to you. That is a gift in the heavenly realm. That negative emotion that you've had, that the most prevailing one, can be wiped clean and healed. I mean, the roots pulled out and gone forever. And if it comes up a little bit, it's cool, man. It's just a little bit. It's not something that's so prevailing. Can you imagine? What would the world be like if every Christ follower really loved the Lord so much that we're not afraid to pause in his presence to hear what we need so that we can be people? Can you imagine if every Christian was a person of peace and just entered into the world with such deep humility and fear for the Lord? This world would be a completely different place. Wow. All right. Okay. Thanks, Pilar. Thank you, friend. Thanks for letting me know that is what you were thinking about. Yeah. Afraid to do something with the table dance around the hand. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's it, y'all. I am super passionate about loving others well. And the best way that I can love others well is by stepping out of relationships or stepping out of circumstances and just hanging with the Lord and doing what I need to do to heal. And it's such a gift. It's such a gift that will not return void. Can you please take a moment whenever you do listen to this on YouTube or on Facebook, Abundantly Me TV, and just let me know how this has blessed you. In this quiet season when I'm doing these teachings and courses and the podcast, you guys, this is a very different way for me to show up in life. It feels much quiet, and I am very busy and I'm doing great little quiet things behind closed doors, but it's just so different than what God invited me into a couple of years prior. And so just your engagement really means a lot to me, that I just want to know if you've been loved well by the Lord, and what little nugget, just if you could leave a comment, what nugget stuck with you the most that will bless your rest of your today and your ultimate healing journey. Man, we're on a journey of healing and wholeness, life of abundance. That's what Jesus came to give us, life of abundance. And that's what I want to talk to people about. All right. I love you very, very much. Have a blessed rest of your day and keep in touch. I'm going to go on a run. Bye. I'm going to have a drink of water first, apparently. Enjoy. Go get some exercise. Have some water. Bye.